Okay, we're on our third topic, and this time we're going to talk about basic architecture and software hardware interaction. Don't worry, it's not the architecture that are um, that is all about buildings or designing different structures. We're talking about the architecture of um, our microcontrollers and microprocessor boards. Okay, and of course, we're going to see a glimpse of how the software and hardware meet. Okay, so first, all right. So here's the good thing, or I'm not sure if you're going to find it funny, or okay. If you want to learn embedded systems, you have to learn all of these things. So when I say computers, actually we have different layers of abstraction, starting from the most software side up to the most hardware side, and everything in between. All right. So most software side, I mean, that's basically using the application already. Okay. What the users see already in their screen. Okay. And then behind each application there are actually algorithms, so how those things work step by step. Step one, it will do this, do that, and when it there's a point, it has to make a decision. If yes, then it will do this. If not, then it will do this instead. Okay, and each algorithm is basically uh, done using a certain programming language. So meaning, if you're going to use Python or Java, or especially in Arduino, we are using C or C++. So there they have their own algorithms. They have their own ways to do things. Okay, so our algorithms basically depend on, or our algorithms are basically implemented depending on our programming language that we use. Okay, and once we are done with our programming language, or once we have our code already, when we hit the run button or the compile button, it will the compiler will basically, or the assembler will translate that into assembly language. So whatever your code is, it will be converted into assembly language format, and then it will after that it will also be converted into machine language code. So when we say machine language, basically those are all ones and zeros, because that's what our computers, our machines can understand only. Ones and zeros, on and off only, meaning digital data only. So in between the hardware and software, so that's where the software side ends actually, and the hardware side um, becomes more tangible, starting with the logic gates and registers. Basically, they are all logic gates, combinational and sequential logic gates, and then which are actually made up of thousands or even millions of ICs and transistors. Okay, and these ICs and integrated circuits and transistors basically work using the principles of electronics and physics. Okay, so again, there's a gap, or there's a certain transition point between the software side and the hardware side of computer systems, including embedded systems. So we have the ISA and the microarchitecture. ISA, or instruction set architecture, basically, I am not going to discuss this. Basically, we have two options, CISC and RISC, and they have their different variants. Okay, so basically, our computer systems, our embedded systems, have either of these CISC, either a variant of CISC or a variant of RISC. Okay, just like our phones, there are many models. So RISC and CISC also have different versions, different models. Okay, so instruction set architecture deals with instructions. So how instructions are handled, while macro architect or micro architecture Basically, all our embedded systems are mainly using either a certain variant of von Neumann architecture or Harvard architecture. So, ano lang, to uh, make the long story short, they mainly differ when it comes to the memory part. So, von Neumann have only one memory for both program and data, while in Harvard they have their own connections. They have their own memory. The program memory is directly connected to the instruction decoder, while the data memory is directly connected to data memory. Each of these has its own pros and cons. And again, our embedded systems basically have a variant or basically use a variant of any of these micro architecture. So the architecture is basically somewhat between the software and the hardware, and they play a major role in how our embedded systems, or especially how the firmware within our embedded system will work well. Okay, so or in short, they have they play a huge part in determining the performance of our embedded system. Okay, so let me know if you have questions. Now, regarding the software side, we basically write in Arduino boards. Actually, if you use ESP, you can also write the Arduino IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. That's basically where we write our codes. Or in the context of Arduino, we use our codes are called Sketch, like what I mentioned earlier, and we have a verify button here, the check. Once we are done coding or writing our sketch, we verify it using this button, and then if your code is okay, then it will indicate something that your code has been verified and there will be no errors. But if not, then there will be some orange text here indicating that your code is not okay. There are some errors. Okay. So again, you can also use this is not only for Arduino but also in ESP. Most ESP boards, Node MCU boards can also make use of this IDE. Okay. And on the right side is actually the Thonny IDE. So Thonny IDE, that's the default IDE inside the Raspberry Pi itself, not on an external computer. So in Arduino, we need another laptop, another computer system other than the Arduino to write and upload our code. Okay. While in Raspberry Pi, once we have our OS installed, we can directly open that. We can open our Raspberry Pi desktop, and there's a built-in IDE called Sony. But of course, if you want some other IDEs, you can install also within your Raspberry Pi board. Okay, so once you click the run button, of course, it will compile and then execute. So another difference is if you are using Arduino or ESP boards, microcontroller boards, basically once you turn on the board, it will start functioning. It will start running the code or the firmware. Okay. Unlike in Raspberry Pi, in normal cases, you have to hit the run button. You have to click that so that your code will start running. So meaning you have the option when to hit when you want when you want the Raspberry Pi to start running, or where you want when you want the circuit start working. Okay, so it's up to you. But of course you can add a script if you want to make it run automatically once you turn it on. Then you can add something in your script as well. Okay, so another thing when you are working with your codes. By the way, in Raspberry Pi, in Python programming, we basically call our codes as scripts. Okay, so sometimes there are some libraries or packages that we can make use of. For example, in Arduino, um, you can go to Sketch and then include library, and then you can choose among this list of libraries, or you can go to the library manager and search and download the library that you want. Okay, so well, in our Raspberry Pi, you can go to tools, manage packages, and then choose same in the same way. You search for it, and then you can install that directly to your Raspberry Pi. Okay, so what do I mean by libraries? In short, libraries are shortcuts. So if you want to lessen your codes so that you will not code from scratch, or you can lessen the chances that you get errors or inconsistent coding, you can make use of libraries because most professional programmers and embedded system engineers actually use libraries instead of coding from scratch. So, for example, I can find pictures of libraries for Arduino. So, what I only have here are libraries, top 10 libraries for Python, which is used for Raspberry Pi programming. Okay, so Pandas, for example, is for data analysis or data analytics. If you want to create some visualizations like your graphs, you can have the Matplotlib. If you want to do machine learning, we have TensorFlow. If you want to add some physics calculations or some scientific equations, we have SciPy. Mathematical formulas, NumPy, and so on. Okay. For Arduino, we have an example earlier, the servo library for controlling servo motors more conveniently. Okay. So basically, libraries are shortcut tools uh, that are recommended. So you can feel free to explore these libraries so you can have better uh, better quality of your embedded system. You can do more with less. Okay. So another thing, another main difference between Arduino and Raspberry Pi is when it comes to serial communication and master-slave configuration. So interaction. Um, Raspberry Pi handles high-level processing such as data logging, UI or user interface, or if you are going to have an internet app, whether a web app through your browser or a mobile app. Okay, so more on thinking, more on data processing, Raspberry Pi. And with that, Raspberry Pi can actually act as a master or a SCADA host